Connectors are in the mindset that they get to and want to. It's not have to and should. And you're right, can or can't. Both of those are they're stiflers, they are limiters. So I learned years ago from reading Dan Pink, a fantastic author and progenitor of many terrific books.
Yeah.
Like it's not that hard to shift from the can can't. And what he teaches, instead of can and can't, use will and won't, do and don't. And that's his material and it's great. And I absolutely share that. And then I created my own of like, well, we get to, we want to. It doesn't mean that we love it all the time. It doesn't mean all these other things that we start to like go down the rabbit trail of like, well, what about this? And what about this? Like, no, leave that. That's gonna be fine. Let's do this. Because life isn't about the results that we think we want to get. Life is about what happens when we put our whole selves in and trust and have a faith in ourselves that we'll make progress. What that looks like, it can be very different. And sometimes it's even better.
Yeah. When you're saying I will do something, it's so different than I can do something. When I will do something first, you're taking responsibility, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And
Yeah. Don't. And
yeah.
sometimes I wonder too, I haven't studied too much ology. Psychology is going to serve anybody, whoever has any kind of that. I wonder too if we're waiting for validation from other people. Adi, if you and I are out for a walk in your hometown and we see something and one of us says, oh, I could never do that. Are we waiting for validation from somebody else, or are we waiting for somebody to course correct and help nudge us? There's a lot that's going on from what we say, because by the time it comes out of our mouth or our fingertips, our head, our heart, and our guts have already probably chimed in. And there's so much background how we make those choices and what we say. If we're going to be good friends, it's like, well, of course you could, Ginger. Where's that come from? Now that's built just to the earlier part of our conversation. What is the confidence in there? What's the trust? What are we willing? Are we willing to be vulnerable, which is simply being open? Like, let's reframe that, because it's a good word. It's a great practice.
Yeah.
Or are we waiting for somebody to validate that we're not good enough, or that the story that I've been listening to from somebody else is actually true, so I'm going to believe it because I'm scared of not figuring out something different, or I don't have support? So clearly this is a really deep well. At the same time, back to the simplicity of connection. When we focus on those relationships that are productive, that are positive, that are forward moving, we really want those. We can start by telling ourselves a different story. Of course I can do this. Your son, he's gonna start saying that. Yeah, mom's right. You're gonna get smarter.
No, he's a teenager. He would not say mom's right.
Because all of a sudden he's like, oh, yeah, the thing mom said, all of a sudden, like, yeah.
Yeah, but he will grow and he will learn,
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
I was his age, I said the same thing. So we're growing
Well,
and learning.
right. So you can break patterns or you can create patterns. It's
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah. So what do you think is very important for leaders to know about connecting and about being vulnerable?
Hmm. I'll focus on one aspect because there's a whole library.
Mhm.
Channeling some of my favorite clients. One of the best skills, traits, characteristics, practices that leaders, and anybody can lead from where they're at, that leaders can work on, focus on, proactively develop, is curiosity. When we are curious, Eddie, we literally are in the zone of wanting to know. We are interested. We're not concerned with being interesting. Think of a toddler. A toddler's favorite question is what?
Why?
Yes, everybody knows this. They
Yeah.
know why, because they want to bring in information. They literally don't have the information that they want to make choices, to start thinking about the world and themselves in it in a different way. So being curious, I actually call it hyper curious. One of my favorite clients that I mentioned, who's here in Nebraska, he loves the concept of the hyper curious. We work on it with his team. Like, oh yeah, because when we're in one zone, we literally can't be in another. There's no such thing as multitasking. It's only scatter tasking. So pick the one thing out of that scatter that you want to focus on. If you focus on hyper curiosity, you are, whew, wow. I have to tell you, this is where innovation happens. This is where invincibility comes up. Like, of course we can do it, because it's this, you start going from traction to momentum to a flywheel. And a flywheel is self-perpetuating. The more curious we are, the stronger we are, the smarter we are, the better leader we are, the healthier we are, the kinder we are. Like everything stacks up. So that's the one thing I would say. If you're going to focus, if you're a leader and you want to focus on improvement for connection, focus on being hyper curious. Tell me about that thing, Adi. What if we did it this way? How about? Start asking a lot of questions, and then yeah, let that permeate. Your culture will be better, will be stronger. It doesn't mean you don't know. It doesn't mean you don't make decisions. That's another part of it. But to be curious, to lead with curiosity is incredibly powerful.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it goes back to being humble.
Yes.
That
Yes.
because you're asking, you don't know it all. You're just asking.
Yes. You open yourself up and say, I'm going to be vulnerable. I'm willing. I'm interested. And that is something people want to follow too, by the way. People
Yeah.
want a curious leader because, just like you said, they want to know that there is some reception to their ideas, that there is a willingness to consider, how about that? And that, ooh, that really is a powerful upward spiral.